Welcome everyone. We are here for another edition of the Coin Rivet podcast. Very special day today. We got a lot going on. We have, I'm going to say Ebony Kenney first. She just won $1.7 million and another score, almost $2 million on the trip. So Ebony, thank you for coming. Congrats.
Thank you.
Phil, not quite as much, but still a great, you have some cashes, you made some runs, some final tables, and your first Triton stop. I'm actually going to start with you, Phil. The pairing, Coin Rivet, $200,000 buy-in tournament, businessman, pro. Tell me about that, first of all. How did this come about, and how did you select Ebony?
If I have to tell the truth, she wasn't the first phone call I made, right? I called my coach, I called a friend, I called a number of people, and it's actually, the funniest story is my coach. He said, you know what, it's my wedding, but let me talk to my fiance and see what she says. And I said, no, I'm not going to be that guy. He called me back 10 minutes later, says, she'll postpone the wedding. I said, no, I'm still not going to be that guy. And then I took a step back and I said, okay, let me be a poker player and take it to the next level. Because, if you look level 1, level 2, level 3, and I says, you know what? I want to introduce new people to poker. I've known Ebony for a number of years, and she is one of the people that goes out of her way to call me up and say, Phil, you're screwing this up, right? And it's for her to have the opportunity and then run with it like I could have never imagined, win, right? So it was kind of a free roll for me, but a life free roll, because I'm also in an interracial relationship, and I know in 10 years, my daughter is going to say, my dad did that. My dad was the one that made that choice. And I think that's #good for poker.
Yes, and I'm going to interrupt you because just to put that in perspective, that shows a guy who knows how big an opportunity this is. This event, I would postpone his wedding, didn't even care. I have a feeling that wasn't a discussion with the fiance. It was like he was telling her, hey, this is happening. So that puts it into perspective how massive of an opportunity this was. So when Phil, you guys did talk about, you got presented with that, what were your thoughts in your head? Because you had not played you played a 10K, never
max.
25.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, a 200. I mean, I've been in poker a long time. I've never played 200K. It's pretty crazy. What was going through your mind, and how excited / nervous were you?
Well, first I was like, he tells me about, there's a Triton series, and I'm like, so he's like, I'm gonna go play. I'm like, that's amazing. Good luck, Phil. And he's like, you're coming with me. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? That's literally what I said. And
you're probably immediately like, I've heard it, Triton 25Ks, there's some 50Ks, that's crazy.
Yeah,
but now,
and then he says the partner, the pro, and the businessman, and it's $200,000 buy-in. And I'm panicking, and it's actually funny because I was on my way to Joshua Tree right after the World Series, and I just wanted to decompress. And he calls me about 30 minutes into my drive, and I always keep my phone on Do Not Disturb. Yeah. So I missed a couple calls from him, and then I have a text, and he goes, I have something for you. And I stopped to get gas, and so I call him, and that's when he tells me, in about 15 minutes after we get off the phone, I'm trying to call all of my friends to help process, and I lose service for an hour and a half. Wow. So I'm just completely by myself during this drive, and I'm like, what is happening?
It's an insane thing. And then obviously now we know you took an insane thing and took it to a whole nother level, because I don't like the word participation, but being a part of it right here, obviously it's a special group, special events, but to not only participate, I mean, you had all the emotion. You were shortest on the bubble. Well, tell me about that for a second, because I remember I think you had 2.5 blinds, and I actually saw the hand. I was watching, I was like the ace-8 to ace-queen, the shorter stack. I mean, I've been in bubbles and big events where I'm short. It's not fun. It's very stressful. This had to be I can't even imagine. Talk to me what's going on in your head when this is happening.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to playing short stack poker. I'm from Florida, and if anyone knows anything about Florida poker, before the limits went up in 2010, that's all we played was short stack poker.
Yeah, it was like $100 max cash.
Yeah, and we were playing 5-10, for 10 big blinds.
Right.
So that's my history, and I've grinded short stack. And also, when you're not very good at poker for a bit, you don't really have a lot of chips normally in tournaments. So that's traditionally where the majority of my career had spent playing short stack poker. A big believer in a chip in a chair, like that super cheesy thing. Like I'm just like, there was a charity event that ACR hosted during the pandemic. Was it All in for America?
All in for America, and
I was down to one big blind, and we were outside of the money. I was down to one big blind, and I came back to win it.
Wow, I remember you winning that tournament. I didn't know you had one big blind.
Yeah, one big blind. And so my thing has always been like, it's always possible. I never ever count myself out.
Right.
I also know how hard it is and how lucky I'm gonna have to get to build up a stack. So yeah, it was tough, and I was so card dead because I lost the ace-8, ace-queen hand when I was like, I had to pay through the blind still, and I had to do all of this, and so I really blinded down. I think I had like 5 or 6 blinds at that point, and then blinded it down to 2.5. Like I was so card dead.
It's so intense, right? Because like it's just, you can know the right chart or two. You don't do a lot of studying for 2.5 blind poker, right? It's just kind of like you just pray that like something's going to happen. And what was it like when you actually? Because I mean, when you saw when the money was announced, you got knocked in. What did that feel like? I mean, how did it feel like? Because that's an insane score already.
Yeah. I mean, just to put it in perspective, the 25K min cash was my biggest score at the time. Like my biggest score was sub 50K. Live score was sub 50K. So the min cash in the 25K was a big score. Yeah. And then I finally got the 6-figure score off my back, well into 6 figures, and I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. Yeah. So the min cash for this 200K is almost double what I just was my biggest score. I thought I'd be fine, but I immediately just started crying, like with like, I was like, oh my God. I was just so happy. And it's still not quite real, even.
It is wild, because then, I mean, you said like you go from basically like, all right, you probably were like, okay, I made this is amazing, and like you're very short at that point. It's like, all right, great. And then all of a sudden, when were you back in? You're like, holy shit, I can win $5.5 million.
Well, to be honest, the way that I looked at it was the 25K, when we came back for day 2, which was the final day, I was 13 of 16 and I got 5th. And for this 200K, I was 13 of 16 when we came back and I got 5th.
Oh, wow.
So for me, I was just like, I know how to grind short stacks.
Right.
Like, I know you have to like run well in those spots, and I'm just hoping that I can just run okay. I think when we got to the final table and the min cash was 620,000, I just remember turning to my friend Camille, and I was like, what is happening? This is not real, because this is not what the majority of my career. No, this is what none of my career has been about. This about $300,000 pay jumps.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, no one's really used to that. I mean, Phil, you've been in poker a long time. I know you came here, you played some events, you had a final table, you've had some scores, and actually I think you had 3rd and a 4th. But yeah, it's like, no one's really.
This is the biggest events I've ever played, and I couldn't be prouder for Ebony. And unfortunately, I wasn't actually there to be even watching while she was finishing, right? Because I actually cracked a tooth during the 200K, the first hour of the 200K. I cracked a tooth.
How doing what?
Grinding my teeth.
Really?
Because
talking shit.
Yeah, maybe
probably talking crap. Whatever. Okay. It's me, and I couldn't let anybody know, because I knew that if anybody knew that I was, in that kind of pain, and I was talking to the VIP reps and give me all the pain medicine and everything else, and I made it through the first day, and then I was actually, it was almost a relief when I lost my aces all in versus kings.
I was going to bring that up next. I mean, that's like, look, we all play poker. We've taken bad beats, but that hurts. I mean,
blind versus blind. It's aces. I got aces. He's got kings, and it's my default line is, and you can watch on all the events, is I just look at my phone. I don't watch the run out, because it's all in, and there's nothing positive that's going to happen. I'm either going to get upset and I'm going to make a fool of myself because I got angry, or I win and I make somebody feel bad. I just look at my phone, and whatever happens, happens. I can't do anything about it. And my first thing is when I won, yes, oh, good, okay, you win, GG. And I kind of walk away. And I texted a couple of my buddies. I said, you know what? If I got to take one on the chin for the run good Phil, and Eb's got to get the run good, then that's better for poker.
Well,
I'm happy about it.
It is quite the polar opposot, right? You have a pairing, and it is really upsetting. It's the worst way to lose. You get the nuts, you get it all in, and then also you
At least I don't look like a moron, right? Like
yeah, no, exactly. You got it in good, and then also the run good is real, because that is a huge swing emotionally. Like honestly, that is one of those things where it's really hard to overcome something like that. Like if you end up bubbling, right? Like you be fine, you move on, you had a great score and whatever. But that is like, it's a huge moment in life. Like it's just something you'll never be able to, like it's so cool. So happy that you got to have that and that run and also perform, because let's not, you are the businessman, you're the pro, and look, those guys, there's the pro side of this tournament is very intense. Tell me a little about your table, and what was that like to sit down and be like, I got to make it through the day, right? Like these guys are tough. These players.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that Phil, so I was originally only supposed to play the 200K. And then I found out a week before coming out here, Phil calls me and says, oh, you get to play a full schedule. And I was like, oh, thank God, because
it's nice, right?
It gives me a chance to kind of warm up, And then the 25K was just an unbelievable way to start.
Yeah, so you got to acclimate. You started to play some tournaments, which was nice. You weren't sure you were doing that, and then you did get to play some other events before 200. Yeah,
and I definitely gained some confidence while I was playing, which was really good, because playing on stream and playing, these are the most elite players in the world, and it's not, arguably the best players, it's just understood.
Right.
Yeah. To be honest, it felt fine for me coming in. Like, it was very nerve-wracking, but I know that no one was expecting anything from me in this field, especially. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I can just relax and have fun. And I was very nervous in the beginning of the week, and the 200K, thank God it was when it was, because it gave me a week to kind of get used to playing with these players and gain confidence on the table and being able to trust myself, and knowing that, I ran deep in a lot of the tournaments that I played this week. I bubbled 2 tournaments. I final tabled 3. I'm like, okay.
I'm here. I'm in it.
And what I'd like to interject is there's 2 things that happened to me in this particular series. This is the first series I've ever been to that wasn't a series that we were sponsoring or we were running, and this was like a big deal for me as like the poker CEO, like trying to prove to myself. I was done with it after a cash, right? And it's where I'm playing with Ebs, and we're at final table of the 6 max, the turbo, the 50K turbo, and she shoves all in, and I look down at 10s.
Oh, that's right.
And and I call, right? And I bust her 1 out of the money. Well, that's what you're supposed to do. And for me, that's the integrity of the game. The other thing that happened to me in this particular event is one gentleman, so there was a electrical fire or something that we couldn't start the tournament right on time. And we were late night in the tournament, and he had to pee really, really bad. Like, he was doing the pee-pee dance at the table.
It was Danny.
Danny. He was just dying, and we were an hour away from a break. Mm-hmm. And he says, oh my God, what do I do? Because, it's a turbo and he can't lose. I says, you know what? Here, I'll use my time banks and you can run and go pee. As a poker player, that's minus EV, because, you want him to make bad decisions. You want him to do.
And you want your time banks.
I'm more, and again, I'm more about what's good for poker, and it's using a few of my time banks to let him go pee. Those are the 2 things. Well, it's bringing Ebony.
Those are the 2 things.
Bringing Ebony, busting Ebony, because that's what's the right thing to do, and letting a guy go pee when he needed to go pee. Those are the 3 things that I got out of this, and I'm proud of that.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot to remember. It's a big week. And how does that feel too now, though? Like, when you're in a 50K, and obviously there's a coin flip, you're right there in the money, though. Tell me a little about the highs and the lows of busting a tournament versus scoring, because it is still, like, it hurts, right? You bust to 50K, you're right there, there's 500 up top, you win a pot. Like, how is the emotions, because you got the full spectrum this week?
Honestly, like when I busted last night, I got to have like one of the most beautiful moments with my daughter that I'm going to carry with me forever. Because as soon as I busted, I pull out my phone and I see that I have a missed call from my daughter, and she's 21.
Okay.
And I bought her a car a couple years ago, like a cheap little $3,000 car. And she's put in so much money in repairs. Like she's done so good, like taking care of her car, and it's in the shop again. And so she called to let me know that she got a quote.
She knows you had a great weekend, obviously. Yeah.
So I was going to surprise her when I got home and let her know that I was going to let her buy a car for like $7,000 or $8,000, but she hadn't known yet. So right when I busted the 50K last night, she calls to tell me about this, and I was like, oh, let's FaceTime. And so then I tell her on FaceTime that I'm buying her a new car and that she can choose, and like new for us, right?
Yeah.
Something reasonable.
Yeah.
And she immediately starts, she's like, are you serious? And she starts crying, and she was just like, thank you so much. And she's like, what? She kept saying, are you serious? I think about 30 times. And she was like going like this and just like, and it was just, it totally distracted me from obviously busting a 50K. It hurts. Like busting any tournament hurts. But being able to give that moment to my daughter, immediately when I got off the phone with her, I went and told Phil. And I was like, these are moments that I get to share, you know, and he's a part of this, you know.
There's nothing more valuable. And you know what? It can happen. That's one of the things I love about poker is as you can see, I'm not the greatest athlete in the whole world. I'm not the smartest guy in the whole world, but it's with enough work and you get better every iteration. You can get there. You got to want it.
Well, I want to go back because also I will say, Ebony, you know, with Thirst Lounge, right? You put a lot of time, effort, work. You've been in poker a long time. I've always thought you're a very good poker player. I've seen some streams. I've seen, you know, I see you win events, right? Like I'll notice, like you said, the charity event online, or you know, some of the special streams we've done. Like you know how to play and you go for it too. You're not like, you know, you're not afraid. So I wasn't like shocked that you would be deep or have a chance, but I mean, it really is like, you know, congratulations, because like to never have, like you said, never play bigger than a 10K buy-in, and as Phil was saying too, it's like you always have an opportunity. That's one of the great things about poker. Like sure, there's a lottery or whatnot, but like poker, you get to control how much work you put in. You can control, you know, situations and put yourself in an opportunity. Someone that you know, plays a $10 or a $1, maybe a spin and go or this or however, you have a chance to kind of control your own destiny. So it's like, you know, it's amazing. I didn't know your daughter was 21. I knew you had a daughter, but that's really cool.
And my son's 18. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
You know, what a lot of people don't know is this trip is the first time Ebony and I met face to face.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy too.
I've been affiliated with ACR for about 2.5 years, but I had never met Phil in person. So this was
I watched on Thirst Lounge
first time.
and watched her on Twitch and said, she's kind of cool. And I like to have a glass of wine with her while she's playing on stream. Amazing, right? And just she's hashtag good for poker.
For sure. And I do want to ask you about that a bit, because like, look, Twitch, we both done, right? You've streamed, it's very intense. It takes a long time, it's a lot of work. Give me a little bit of if you could explain that journey and like how much time and effort and what your experience has been on. Like, is that something you still enjoy? Do you still stream? You maybe give any feedback or advice out there to people that are starting in poker with that?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been playing poker for 20 years, but I found streaming and Twitch very late. I was introduced to it via the Thirst Lounge, so 3 years ago. It was a new world for me. And for me, the thing that I really enjoy the most in life is human connection. Poker is such a solitary game, and Twitch is that community. And I realized it kind of like reignited my love for poker in a new way, because I was able to build a really beautiful and loving, supportive community. Shout out to the Bad Bitch Army. I'm so grateful, and I'm really grateful that I found Twitch, this version of me, because I feel like I've grown a lot in the past 3 years. Like, I'm really proud of who I am now as a human. I'm proud of who I am as a poker player, and I know that I still have much more to learn and further to go. Twitch is wonderful. It is a grind. It does take a lot of work, and it is exhausting because people kind of feel entitled to have you at all times. So that part can be exhausting, but I think I've done a pretty good job of I create and honor my own boundaries, and the people in my life have no choice but to honor them. So,
a couple more questions about with being a mother, a parent. How has that been in poker? You said 20 years. You have a 21, 18. Can you tell me a bit about being a mother and playing poker and how you find the balance with that? Because it's I have a 3-year-old. I know Phil, you have kids, and poker's fun. It's great, and we all have a lot of responsibilities. Explain to me sort of that understanding. And your kids, are they supportive of you playing poker?
Yeah, I mean, they're very supportive now. The fact of the matter is that when you are a poker player, and I've been a single mom, I was 19 when I had my daughter, so I was a baby having babies, The fact of the matter is that I've fucked up a lot. My kids took the brunt of my mistakes and my bad decision making, and they loved me anyway, and they forgave me and still allowed me to grow and become a better mom for them. And in fact, Phil let me bring them here. So they were here and watched me play the 25K, like they were here for my final table.
Really? Your kids are here?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
It was so exceptional because we've absolutely healed, and we're all really proud of who we are and how we are as a family unit now. So, and this was their first time seeing me play poker, and I was telling them, I was like, listen, this is not how it normally is.
Right.
Like, this
now they got to be at every stop, right? Every tournament you're going to bring them.
It's when Eb said, what do you think about my kid? I said, snap yes, because
it was your idea. I didn't even think about bringing them.
It's like yeah, you're right.
It was your idea.
It's what I try to do is, because I knew that being at the highest stakes possible, at the highest level possible, removing any level of stress would be a good thing, right? That's what I try to do, because that's what the biggest pros in the world do, is they remove everything from just, now they're just playing the game, right? And it's when you take the money out of the equation, when you take everything else out of the equation, and you can just play your game, now you can really see who you are and what you do. And that's what I try to do the best I possibly could, right? And I'm not saying that I succeeded, but I'm saying that I supported her. I supported the best player I could possibly support.
For sure, and speaking on that as well, so everything's in place, table set, you go and play. What about a little bit of coaching? I know Chance was sweating you, and I get chip leader coaching and some other people I think you probably had help to do. Tell me a little about preparation for this.
I was, as soon as Phil called me, I knew right away that I wanted to work with Jason Su, who is a mindset and kind of like embodiment coach for poker. I had been on his newsletter for a little bit, and I had read his book, so I immediately reached out to him, and so I started working with him right away. And then I was on the phone with Joe Ingram, because for me, I was trying to find a coach that could be the best coach for me, because I am an intuitive player who just started playing, started doing strategy.
Right.
Like, it's new, like studying is new for me because I'm the old school player, Joey was like, oh, Chance is perfect. And I was like, oh my God, he might be.
Yeah.
So Chance and I jumped on the phone. I literally started working with him 2 weeks before I got here.
Okay.
And I learned so much from him.
Yeah, he's live reads.
He is such a G. Oh my God.
His results are super. I've always liked Chance. His results are very impressive, and he's a very good player.
The way he explains things is just, he is the most perfect coach for me, for sure. And I'm so excited. And he was so supportive. And between Jason and Chance, being there for me, and I would have coaching calls with Jason in between breaks to kind of talk me down from what was happening. So on dinner break, I'm in the grass outside, barefoot, on the phone, skipping. There are people probably looking at me like, what is this girl doing?
Yeah, this is how to win a million. This is what.
But I was literally skipping on dinner breaks. I'm I need to get this energy out of me. What is happening?
Yeah.
Because it was a lot.
That's important.
I felt so supported. Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. And people don't know. I know Phil's a big poker fan. He loves it. He watches it. He breathes it. You are into it. So I'm sure you are aware of Triton, right? You've talked to people about it, but tell me how actually being here and what your thoughts are on the series.
The very first thing that I got when I came here is because I've run poker tournaments, right? And I thought, I ran you've been to Punta Cana Poker Classic, and it was a great event.
Yeah.
And I came here and I went like the whole Bill and Ted, I'm not worthy, this was just on another level, right? It's just absolutely amazing. And I've told them it's over and over again that they're absolutely, they just do everything absolutely right. Whatever I can do to be part of this, to help support this, this is what poker needs. These guys, like they're just, you know what? They challenge me to be better, and that makes me happy.
As you were saying, Triton, first time here, and in terms of the level, what Triton does and what as you do,
the entire experience was just off the charts from beginning to end, right? And again, me coming from the business from 30 years. Oh God, I'm old. It's turning 50 just a few days ago, right? And coming here and being the first event that I've played that wasn't just my event that I ran, and I was pretty proud of my events. And the events I'm going to run are going to be significantly better. And now I have, I guess you have to recognize greatness, right? And try to live up to that, and then you can try to innovate. So I got a whole new target, right? And it's way up there.
Yeah.
Right? These guys are great. These guys are absolutely amazing.
Awesome. And Ebony, I know I asked you already, but you've played on a lot of stops. You've been around the world. You've played poker, you said 20 years. Tell me as well, from the actual production and the staff and Triton, what it was been like for you to be a part of the Triton series here.
Oh, I mean, Triton is honestly, it's magnificent. And there aren't enough adjectives in the dictionary to describe what it's like to be here. As someone who's been watching at home, just like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I've been a fan of Triton. Like, these are still my peers, but it felt like a different level of peers, right? Like, they're not really my peers. I don't play with them.
Right.
Like maybe I might get lucky and have a seat next to them during the main event, right? It's like occasionally,
yes.
Right? But being here, whatever you think it's like at home when you're watching, it's like that times a million.
Yes.
It is so elite, from the way that they cater to all of the players and the way that they take care of everything.
Yeah.
It's such an exceptional experience. And honestly, I told Phil, I was like, I'm only a Triton player now, so.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's all I can really hope as a business owner that Triton is a king high straight flush, so I have something to shoot for to actually win. Right. So we'll debate that later. Just give me 5 or 6 years, and we'll see what happens. But these guys, As
you said, they set the bar very high.
And I really hope that other companies look to live up to these standards, because that's what poker deserves.
For sure. And Ebony, as a voice in poker, you're one of the more recognizable women in poker for a long time. The debate about women and men and separated, but you are a voice for women, no doubt, and this is a huge opportunity moment. What are your hopes for women in poker in general? Are you feeling that there's going to be a growth in it? Do you want a growth in it? What's sort of your message to women out there and that are thinking about poker or maybe starting to play?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Camille and I were talking about this a lot. Like, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm also simultaneously sad that I'm the only woman pro that was in that field. And that when I looked around all week, there was only 1 or 2 women max playing in the event. So while I'm really happy to be here, like, I don't want to be the only. I want to look out and see even amounts of men and women in the field.
Wow, even that's ambitious. I like it.
I don't care. That's what I want.
Okay.
So
I like it.
I want this to kind of be like, I'm not just like, oh, I'm going to leave the door open. I'm like, I want to bust it down, and I want every woman who's ever thought about being here, like, you can be here.
Yeah,
like, it's possible. And I had a lot of luck, like, so many things had to happen for me to be here. 5 or 6 people had to say no.
Right. Well, I also, Phil, the thing is though, I always say this, and I think we would all agree that luck is, when preparation meets opportunity. It's a very cliche thing, but it's true, right?
It's true.
You've put a lot of work in, 20 years. This isn't just like, came in and whatever. Like, you've been doing the work. You did Thirst Lounge. You streamed. You put yourself out there. You put hard work in, and opportunity came, and then you happened to make the final table and do the dream. So it's pretty amazing. It's really really incredible. And, you know, I think everyone at home would agree. This is a very, very like feel good story in poker and just amazing. And also, Phil, again, congrats to you for having the foresight and, you know, not letting your friend cancel the wedding and also knowing and believing in Ebony. Because at the end of the day, forget about second, first, sixth. Like you had to know in your heart that she could deliver and handle it.
For sure. It was 100% that I was thinking just level one, right? Like just like everybody else, who's the best person for this, right? And I'm really glad that I luck boxed into being able to think about level two and say, hey, wait a minute. Ebbs would be the best person for this, right? And I will say, her and I have had some moments here in Triton, right? And we've gotten closer, and we've talked, and we've had some
fights. It's been nice.
It's been, but you know what? It's what doesn't kill you, what makes you stronger, right? And I feel like I can honestly say that she's a close friend. Like,
for sure.
Absolutely, for sure.
Well, that's amazing. That's cool to know you guys had not met before, because I just would assume like, yeah, maybe. But there was a pandemic, right? There had been a few years where there was events down in Punta Cana or in ACR. I know they do the cage, which I've been to, so that makes sense. You guys had met. But I will also say, you know, it goes back like, shout out to Bill Perkins, Thirst Lounge. I
wish Bill was here.
Yeah, Bill usually is here.
I thought he was going to be here.
He will be at future Triton stops. But also, you know, that was I remember the selection process because Jamie Staples and myself, Bill basically said like, here, because it was supposed to be one person for Thirst Lounge, and then I will take a little credit. I said, hey, let's do Thirst Lounge 10, like make it a thing. But it was a very easy selection when you were submitted. It was like, all right, yeah. It wasn't like, it was like, all right, you know, if it was one, it might have been you anyway. So like, you know, congrats to you and again for using and sort of working hard and spinning it and again, like that's the big message I know is about you and you guys. I'm just saying like the message is too, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, poker, if you like it, like take that first step, do the work, you know, even if it doesn't work out, right? You learn something, you get skill sets from it. Like you were saying, you were getting to know yourself, you get to know your audience, you get to learn about a lot of things. So, you know, it's you got to start somewhere and really cool to see it come to fruition.
And at the end of the day, what you always want to remember is if it was easy, everybody would do it.
That's super true.
Is you keep your nose to the grindstone, you get better every iteration, and you will win. Right?
Yeah.
You just never give up.
I will say speaking of Bill, because there was something that he said during Thirst Lounge, because I didn't have the availability to give my all during Thirst Lounge.
Yeah, of course.
My son was going through some health stuff, so I couldn't, you know, be full-time in the project. But there was one thing that he did say that like stuck out for me, and he was just like, you know, there are people in this project that, you know, are just here to party or whatever, and there are people here that will find a way to make their way and to, you know, use it to leverage into something else. And John, Drew, and myself, we springboarded into working with ACR, and I've realized before, like, I think for a lot of poker players at home, because I used to think like this all the time, like I would see other people and be like, oh, they're so lucky, or oh, they're so this, or you know, and like, oh, they always win X, Y, Z. But the fact of the matter is that I wasn't focused on my process. I was so focused on results. And my shift, there's been a major shift in my way of thinking over the past couple of years, and it's been focusing on the process. And
that's amazing. No, it's huge. It's really huge when you start looking at yourself, right? Not other people and what you can control. And actually, I will give a big thank you too to Phil Juan at ACR as well, because I know them for a long time and also supporting in various ways with Thirst Lounge, and then not only supporting, but then, you know, going forward and making saying, hey, like, we're going to support now further once the project's over and take some guys on the wing. So yeah, full circle, really cool, and it's great. I think poker's in a great place. It's in a great space, and you know, you guys, cheers to you both and the pairing. I know, Phil, you wanted to be at the final table. Of course, aces to kings. Bummer, you got some cashes.
You know
I'd say net saying you guys come out with 1.7 score, and it worked out. I mean, I know it would have been fun for you, but this is great.
End of the day, right? Is there any other poker CEO that is better than me? I haven't seen him yet.
You made a very, very wildly ambitious and calculated and great play. And Ebony, again, cheers to delivering.
Thank you.
Huge, such a big moment. I'm really happy for you. And guys, this is the Coin Rivet podcast. I like to do price prediction. It's almost the end of the year, but we generally do a I know you are very alert to Bitcoin, and I don't know if you follow it or know where it's at right now. What is your price prediction for January 1, 2023? It's at about 20,000 right now.
I was going to ask if it had dipped below 22.
Yeah.
Okay, 20. Oh goodness. I mean, where do I hope it to be at, or where do I?
There might even be a prize. I don't know. Every guest on this is, I think, you're episode 20 or so, and this is you just,
where
guess
do
a
I
price.
think it's going to be? I don't know. I think it's going to keep going down a little bit. I'm going to say like 18,733.
18,733 for Bitcoin. Give me an Ethereum too. It's at like 17,100.
I don't know anything about Ethereum.
Throw a number. You might win a prize. You never know.
1345.
Okay. And Phil, give me your Bitcoin price and Ethereum at the end of the year for 2022.
Bitcoin is going to be somewhere around 2550-ish.
Okay.
And Ethereum will be slightly lower than what it is. Let's call it 1603-ish.
1603.
It's going to need another 6 months to recharge, and the next big bull run, we're going to be seeing 120K on Bitcoin.
Boom. All right, there you go. Price predictions are locked in. And last question about NFTs. Do you have them? Do you like them? Do you know about them? Are you involved at all in NFTs?
Yeah, I have a couple NFTs. Arlie Shaban, he helps me get the. I don't even know. I don't know anything. I know Arlie. I have a couple.
Great guy.
I have like a fox or something.
Okay, foxes sound cool.
I have a bunch of race horses that are super cool, and I have my own magic card, and I have I love my wife NFT.
Okay.
And I believe in NFTs. I just think it's so early in the market. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, so I'm watching it closely. But it's definitely going to do something amazing for the world.
Yeah, very cool. That makes a lot of sense. And Phil, on a last question for you today is with ACR and with in general with what's happening in the online poker, what are you feeling about the industry as a whole for online poker?
I'll tell you what, right now, everybody who said poker was dead, you're kind of wrong, right? Because between all the different online poker sites, there's more individual people playing poker today than there was at the peak of, it's before Black Friday, right? So poker's not dead, right? It's just got to evolve. And as long as we keep evolving, as long as we keep thinking about the integrity of the game and what the game needs, it's gonna be great, right?
I'm in agreement with you. And Ebony, what are you thinking about poker currently live and online? Obviously, you're peaking in terms of feeling and live poker, but give me a little online and live. Where are your thoughts? And for you to play, like what do you enjoy more nowadays? I'll say.
I started out as a live player. I love live. Mm-hmm. It is a lot slower than online now that I've had a few years of playing under my belt. But to be honest, my goal really is to get as many women supported in the game. So after this, I actually go to Aruba to play a WSOP circuit. And nice. Before the ladies event, I'm hosting like a little confidence seminar and like how we can support each other in poker. So for me, that's where my passion really lies. I'm still gonna be here to crush these Tritons.
Yes, right? Yeah, that's on your stop list now, right?
Yes. And really just to, I just want women to feel supported as much as possible, and I'm going to work relentlessly to make that happen.
Beautiful. And where can people follow you on socials?
On Twitter, I am Ebony_Kenney. Instagram, Ebony Kenney, and ebonykenney.com, and Twitch is ebonykenney.tv.
Amazing. We'll put that below in the comments in the section. And Phil, what about you? Where can people follow you?
Don't follow me.
Just in case.
It's safer not
go to America's Card Room and follow her.
Yeah,
right? Because I'm just way too. I'm a little too raw for all that.
Brutally honest. So there we go. Go follow Ebony. And yes, that'll wrap it up for us on Coin Rivet. And again, cheers to Ebony. Cheers to Phil on a great, successful time, and really, really cool. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks
Ebony,
for having us.
Coming on.
I know it was a lot. It was a lot to get us here, but we're here.
No, listen, but you're smart. You focus, right? You focus first. Do your thing. You got to get everything in order.
Yeah, we're shorts and a t-shirt now. Now we're chill.
I had to dress like a millionaire now, so I'm chill in a t-shirt.
That's a billionaire look right there. And actually, Ebony is going to be on. I saw Joey Ingram podcast.
Yes,
that's tonight. Which will be this will be on delay, but you can watch that last week. You can watch it on Joey Ingram's podcast as well to check that out. So that'll that'll be fun.
And sometime next month, I may be able to steal the password to my Twitter account again. So watch. I may post something, ruthless.
Oh, you're off Twitter right now?
No, they actually take away my Twitter password.
His people take all his stuff
change
from
it.
him.
They changed my Twitter password because I'm Phil.
Okay, well, if you get back on, we'll check that out. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.
All right, thanks.